Today is a day about how we use words to knit a community together, because we know that there are words which can tear a community apart. So let this day be a conversation. Let it be about relationship. Let it be about us building toward a greater civic space, and also understand that patriotism does not always take place in uniform, but it can take place also through dialogue and conversation in a library. Am I cool? Am I all on that? Yes. I am Reggie Gibson. I will be your moderator. Basically what that means is I'm going to host a conversation here, but I'm just going to try to just throw something in there and see how these people go at it at some point. And I'm going to just step back and just listen to all of the great fireworks that they're going to be giving you and do my best to stay out of the way. But this cannot convene without a lot of people putting a lot of work into this. And I know he doesn't like to get thanks, but I really would love to show some love before anything starts to Mr. Philip Osiris. And of course, he couldn't do this without the work of many of the folks from this library, and also many of the folks who are in politics to help make sure things get happening. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge that. To do that, I want to bring up a person who is also very instrumental and literally keeping the lights on, because we asked him, could you turn on some lights? And he said, yes, I can turn on some lights. So if you would, could you please show some love for the director of the library, Paul?
Yeah.
Well, my name is Paul. I'm the library director, and it is my pleasure and my honor to welcome all of you here from around the state of Massachusetts to the Brockton Public Library. Thank you for being here today. We have one representative, Counselor at Large Min Farwell is here, representing the Brockton political group. And today is very special, and I just hope you all enjoy yourselves, and I hope the fireworks do fly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to bring, I love it when you can put councilman together. And it's actually meaning that someone who's wise enough to give counsel, right? And so rarely that happens with a man. But having that with someone who's wise enough to give counsel. How do we know that? Because this is a person who took a chance on co-signing, bringing a bunch of poets into Brockton. Could you please show some love for Councilman Winfell?
Now, I may be a politician, but no tariffs. So everyone sit back, relax. You're going to be okay. You don't have to pay anything on your way out the door to get back to Rockport or Cambridge. I enjoy coming to these because I have great reverence for poets, for all of you. Because by your words and your verse, you can transport us to places we've never been. You can evoke all of the full range of human emotions within us, whether it's joy or sorrow. That is a talent. That is a talent that we must preserve. That's a talent that deserves recognition. And I really enjoy the work of Phil Osiris. He was our first Poet Laureate, and Hannah Baptiste is our first Youth Poet Laureate. And may this perpetuate long after I have left political office, because it's so important to support the arts and culture. And it's an honor to have all of you here. I hope you enjoy the library, look around. It's a magnificent building. Paul does a great job, so sit back and enjoy, and again, it's my great privilege to be here with you, and we'll have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to have a film presentation. It's going to be honoring former Poet Laureate Danielle LaGroche-George. This was a woman of many words, of which few words can describe. All I can say, and I only say this about very special people like Pablo Neruda and others, if you do not know, did not know, will not know Danielle LaGroche-George and who she was and her work, I don't care how much money you've got, you are impoverished. I will invite you to enrich yourselves, to go and find out who this person was and what she meant to poetry, what she meant to the city of Boston, and what she meant to humanity. But for now, let's just hear her words.
Hi, my name is Danielle LeGros George. LeGros is my mother's name, George is my father's name. I was born in Haiti and came to the U.S. as a child with my family. Grew up here in Boston, have lived in New York, have lived in Chicago, have had all kinds of jobs, from delivering newspapers to uh, working as a door-to-door canvasser to a whole bunch of other things. And now I teach at a university, and I'm very lucky and happy in that job. And so I get to teach poetry and some other things. Uh, I think as a young person, I was interested in the notion of identity. I think, like most other immigrant folks, I was very curious. So I was forced to navigate at least two cultures. And so I was really interested in the notion of Haitian identity, what constituted that, the notion of American identity, what constituted that, of Black identity, both sort of in a Pan African way, but also Black identity in the United States, African American identity. So, I wrote some stuff around that, and now I'm sort of really interested in looking at other areas. So I'm writing poetry in different uh, about different things, things other than what I just explained to you. Okay. So that's my bio. Small I. This symbol, small I, a symbol, streak to sun, toll and stop sign, stick and circle never ceasing, its dot, eternal eye never ceasing to see, two C's touching lips, an open mouth in prayer, an O not majuscule, the small I unegoed. As children, we went from print to script on yellow paper, ruled like the roads crossed to school. A line was two parallel paths for ascenders, descenders. School nights beneath a lamppost, my mother, girl, is learning to count, not stars, but figures with the others in the dark. Et un, deux, deux et deux, quatre. In a series of songs set to learn that facts are not earth, are not dirt to be digging, are a desk, are a trade to be traded for fields. Her mother figured she would measure infinitely and counted on her counting to keep her free. Me, she led to the word as puzzle, as a game to ungag the number of times she'd stood unworded. And so she decided to start in the midst of things, leaving A and E and picking up small I. I want to add that the school nights beneath the lamppost refers to my mother growing up in Haiti and how kids in her area some of whom didn't have electricity in their homes, in their houses, had to study underneath the street lamps. Songs for women. I will there be no women here who circle red-dressed, ruby-hearted, glass-cut. If there be flowers, then the bloom of cyclamen, ond in greens glowing, night vase, nightshade, wild in wind. Sin be the will to descend, hummingbird still, steal the fire's sound, take note, and return it. Let song be the skin of a glimmering, unsettled, raising, belly deep in the strike of match and band. Be the belly, the pepper pot, come close just to drop it, slide till the notes are scaffold, ash flicked, unphoenixed.
Clarity, precision of language, laboring over the right word, right? To put it in the right order, to make it have the right result. This is the type of mind and individual we're dealing with. Vast, deep, and broad. And Danielle, for me, was a person who wrote probably as much as a way of trying to understand as to be understood. Poetry was a philosophy, a way of questioning, and epistemology. And so appreciate that about her work. I'd like to introduce to you now a person who stood by Danielle for years and was at her side at the end. And he will then introduce her family. But if you could make room in your heart to welcome Tom.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And beautiful to see this video I'd never seen before, 21 years ago.
Yeah.
Danielle. And thank you for her family and for me, older brother Gerard, George, and his wife Yolanda are here in front. And so we appreciate you all being here. And thank you.
And before you leave, the governor has sent over citations for all the poets here, and including one for Danielle. And this is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and it says, on behalf of the residents of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer this governor's citation in recognition of the life and legacy of Danielle Legros-George, serving as Boston's Poet Laureate from 2015 to 2019. We commend Danielle's dedication and unwavering commitment to fostering a love of poetry, advocating for literature and supporting arts and education in the Commonwealth. Artistic expression is a great communicator and peacemaker within ourselves. Her contributions are invaluable and deeply appreciated. This 5th day of April in the year 2025. Next, I would like to bring back up to the stage Win Farrell.
There are 11 of us on the city council, so I'm going to read a citation for Danielle in memoriam of her and to her family. All of our laureates will receive the same citation. Be it known that the Brockton City Council hereby extends its congratulations in memoriam to Danielle Legros-George's Youth Poet Laureate from Boston, in recognition of your dedication to fostering a love of poetry, advocating for literature, and supporting arts and education. And be it further known that the City Council extends best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Council, attested to and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Council. And it's my profound honor to present this to you.
On behalf of the George family, I want to thank you all for being here and recognizing what Danielle did and how she touched people. She connected with people from all spheres of life, whether they be educational, poetry, theater, politics, cooking, advocacy, so many other ways of connecting, and I'm kind of lost for words that you all have a connection or a recognition of what she's done and she's touched. And I want to thank you, Reggie and Tom, for really being there. And again, lost for words, but thank you.
Tom was mentioning how he hadn't seen that before, and how it's 21 years ago that film was actually made. And it was made because of a couple of people who took it upon themselves to find any kind of money they could to go to poets' homes and film them where they were, to show the poets where they were working, where they did their thing. And just two men who just, out of the love of the word, did so. One of them, of course, is the deserved Poet Laureate of Brockton, Mr. Philip Asuris. And the other is the person who was also one of the prime movers behind that. I'd like to introduce, if you would, Mr. James Moore.
Hello.
Closer.
What happens when you're doing any kind of recording is that everything happens. When we recorded Danielle 21 years ago, there were audio problems with the recording that until the technology got to today with Premiere and the audio editing capabilities there, we couldn't fix. And I didn't get back to it. We were planning to do a reshoot, that never happened. However, in the past 2 weeks, I re-encountered Danielle with the footage. And we have 2 flash drives with her program and the memoriam to present to you.
Documentation, recording, witness, right? That is what we do. Those of us who labor in the salt mines of what is poetry, to bring up just a little bit of sweetness in the bitterness so that we can look forward to the next hill. The person who has done that are many of them up here. They've done it so well that they've been recognized by their cities and their towns for the work that they do, are doing, and will continue to do. It is regretful that I cannot give them the full introduction that each one of them deserves, and I just have to call names. Your name, not call your names, but I just have to call your name. So again, will you welcome the Poet Laureate of Brockton, Philip Asuris.
So thank you all for being here. All thanks to our director, Paul Engel, because I wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Paul. And to Councilman Wynn Farwell for giving him the money for us to be here. We can all agree that the world is in turmoil right now, and I've spent time considering which poem to share with you today. This poem is dedicated to my father, Demetrius Hassouris. He immigrated from Castro, a small village on the Greek island of Cyprus, to provide for his mother, brothers, and sisters, a responsibility he embraced as the youngest. He made his home in Brockton, where he found work, community, faith, love, and built a family. He faithfully sent money to his family every month and lived a long, full life, passing away at 92. After his death, I visited Castro as I had with him before. The village of Castro, established in the 13th century, remains largely unchanged, with its cobblestone streets, hidden passageways, and thick-walled white stone houses. Walking those streets during the day, I felt transported back in time. Yet, back at the house each night with my laptop, I was firmly planted in the 21st century, a striking contrast. One night, I felt my hand being guided by my ancestors to write this poem, a warning to humanity. Ancient ruins. A day is but a moment among ruins. Ever-changing years seem to weave a seamless continuum of unbroken time over ancient broken sites. Yet, why does the earth spin on its axis along the same sunny path? Why does this globe carry all our pieces in a closed loop? Sky blue and sky white mirror the sea, draw us into reflection, seducing us to delve into deep, separate oceans to seek origin. But when do we truly look at each other as specimens of the species human? Are we evolving or are we devolving? We have our salvation and the seeds of our destruction growing within us, evolution and de-evolution at once. Scholars remind us to learn from our past or be condemned to repeat it. And what have we learned of science, mathematics, religion, philosophy, and greed? Who gave us opposable thumbs to crush the future? Who gave us tools to create? Oh my God, what have we given rise to? We call ourselves compassionate, humane, and intelligent, as nations lay bleeding between fingers too tiny to hold the future. Why do so many hands squeeze out innocence in the name of what deity? Why do we seek sanctuary in time of suffering, seek safe passage, refuge, and haven, but harbor leaders who turn eyes blind or away? Does Mother Earth feel her garden grow barren as her marrow is sucked out while crimes against humanity regenerates like an infectious cancer? Why do we cry out animal at those who do us injustice? We snivel round mouthfuls of burned fat and guzzled spirits as we dread the cries of the silence that speaks to us. Arms, arms, arms for the poor. In the spiritual, the vast cosmos of infinity, just where are we on the evolutionary scale? We wonder at ancient ruins and marvel at what was. I ask you, what do such acts foretell? Will there be anything to wonder about us? I wonder today among the ruins.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, just so you understand, again, I'll be calling everyone up. Every one of the poets will have 5 minutes. 5 real minutes, not 5 poet minutes, 5 real minutes, right? That everybody understands to give a poem. And then the next poet will be called up, they'll have their 5 minutes, and then after all of that, we'll have the moderated discussion. Is that good? Does it seem fair? Okay. Thank you. So, first up, will you please welcome Amesbury Poet Laureate Lisa Usani Phillips.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's such an honor to be here, and I wanted to say about Danielle, I only met her once, but she really made a big impact on me that one time, and I'm so sad that I won't get to know her as a person going forward, but I do look forward to exploring her through her poetry. Alias. Grandfather gave me a Chinese name, an alias no one knows but family. Li Shan in Putonghua, common language. Li San in Tufa, mother tongue of the guest people. Li Sha if you are grandma, all written the same. Li, graceful, Mei Li de Li. Shan, coral, swaying in the sea. Precious jewel. Xian, precious jewel. Not worth much if you're starting. Xian, my mother's name, when she was sent, age 7 or 8, to Changdaochun, where revolutionaries forced her grandparents to confess crimes they did not commit, burned everything they did not really own, save the occasional half-chicken from neighbors who had to hide their mercy. Xian, her father's favorite singer of songs unknown. Xian, back in Bangkok, where guest people took Thai names to blend in. Usani is hers, also precious jewel, also mine, tucked carefully between my English names, like a secret password or a seed. Ni hao. My market basket face mask keeps my smile from infecting others as I hail my fellow shoppers well met, nodding as we navigate the one-way bread aisle and each other. Price check the good milk, splurge on the Paschal makimono. I say ni hao to the sushi chef, who says it back for a little joke. Slant. Tapansi, chimpanzee, that's me, 7, 8, mom, dad, brother, sister, Dodge Dart, back seat, T-neck, T-rose, pale wan house walls, red roof, oak tree, inner porch, blind windows, grass carpet, bike pony, garlic fried, long day, takeout cartons, uncles, aunties, bowls clatter, stories chatter, smiles ha-ha, poo-poo platter. Goodbye, my turn. Eyelids pulled, slant, slit like theirs, like mom's. I want, what's wrong? Head shake, too bad, bad girl, long drive, back home. Bittersweet. Celastrus orbiculatus, highly invasive, non-native, highly Asian, hybrids not widely reported in the field, perhaps hard to identify, pretty decorative, red berries, gold husks, good luck colors, pretty wreath for your door, wrist thick liana, girls' tree trunks, snake-wise. Those are from my debut collection, Guess People, from 2022. And then my last two poems are poems that I wrote as Poet Laureate. First one is for our first Poet Laureate of Amesbury, Lady Seneschal, who passed away last year. Strawberry moon, a day after solstice. They said you bloomed larger than the sun, hung low on the horizon, almost close enough to touch. The most colorful moon in years, summer full, ripe. Though the clouds came last night, I knew you were there, gilding other hilltops, another lake, with waves of your own light. Shine, a poem for the third inauguration of Amesbury Mayor Cassandra Gove. Walking the bricks of her hometown, our little city of mills and hills, rivers and lakes, steeples, salons, and shops, she shines each day with a warmth that comes from something other than the sun. And good thing too, because New England. What could it be, or who? Could be you, could be me, all of us here today, at home, in our little city that feels more like a town. Thank you so very much.
Will you please keep that going for the next poet from Amesbury, which is Ellie O'Leary.
So like so many in Brockton and so many in this room, I am in this country very close to an immigration experience. I had an Irish-American mother and an Irish-American grandmother. Everybody else didn't have the hyphen. They were from Ireland. So I lived in Somerville until I was 10, and then we moved to a village in Maine called, appropriate for the times, Freedom, Maine. Small town. I'll start with this one. This girl. Everybody in Somerville is either Irish or Italian, and we're Irish. Everybody is Catholic except a few are Protestant, and we are high Episcopal. Everybody knows we are supposed to be Catholic, but I know my mother said we aren't. Everybody tells me my family will be happier when we move to the country, where things will go more smoothly. Everybody has a mother and a father, unless your mother dies, like mine did. Everybody knows being poor means nothing in a place where everybody is poor. The most important thing is having a boy who likes you, but boys don't like smart girls. Being one is no help at all if you are lonely or sick of raising your hand. Someday, my prince won't come, and I'll go off on my own to see what I find. Everybody knows smart girls go to college, and this one is going to one called Bates. Everybody has a mother and a father, or a mother, or a father, unless your father dies too. Everybody knows 18 is old enough to be independent, and this girl is ready. My dolls in black and white. My dolls crowded together on shelves above my bed. 2 were all grown up and, unlike the baby dolls by their dress, declared their choices, sending me messages through the night in my dreams. 1 in black, dressed in long habit, rope belt with a crucifix. 1 in white, veiled and lovely in lace, dressed to please. Those were my options. Dress in black and be done with choosing, or dress in white, hoping for more babies and more dolls. The adult I became. 6 characters in search, with a thank you to Pirandello. Crazy lady in the attic has the most to say, but no one listens to her anymore, thinking she has gone beyond the realm of usefulness. She rants upward toward the rafters about the futility of it all, the abounding frustration of life itself, carrying on to anyone real or imagined, but especially to wife and mother no longer a wife, who, missing her old well-defined identity with its sense of family, purpose, and worth, wants to be useful somehow, so she tries to quiet crazy lady to keep her from waking motherless child, who will start to weep, then complain about the word sometimes in that song, as if that is all that bothers her, when truly she has a hole in her heart that can't be mended even by the efforts of she's an artist, she don't look back, who is now reminding this past she is in control, even while they remind her that is what they decided, but she doesn't always rise to the occasion when needed. Successful businesswoman who didn't make it in the end suggests perhaps she is always full of suggestions despite all her financial failures, that they have a group meeting of their mind so they can access the experience. Volunteer here, volunteer everywhere, carries on in her skill set, but V is not awake. She is fatigued by all her efforts, by the pounding of all the demands made on her, even though she was the one who volunteered. Everyone is vying while artist is trying to lead 6 characters in search of a focus. Cat's gone. Cat's gone took off last fall after Big V apiece. Must have thought, as he was at the 2nd floor window, that he was just close enough to catch him. Someone said to me the other day, "How's that old cat of yours?" I told him, "My cat flew south." Man's gone, took off around the holidays after a flock of women. Must have thought, as he was buying the drinks, that he was just charming enough to catch him. Someone said to me the other day, "How's that old man of yours?" I told him, "My man flew south." Spirit's gone, took up out of my body, wandered round my house, looking for a place to light. Must have thought, as I wasn't going anywhere, neither was she. Someone said to me the other day, "How you holding up?" I told him, "I'm ready for spring." Thank you.
Lady O'Leary, will you please welcome the Poet Laureate of Arlington, Jean Flanagan. Just a moment. I think I have to educate the audience on what you do when someone's name is called. What you do is, you continue to clap for them until they get firmly behind the podium. Okay? Imagine that their little sailboats are trying to make it to the shore, and you don't want to cut the wind off before they get there. So if you can keep that going until they get behind the podium, all of us would appreciate it. Jean Flanagan.
It's an honor to be here today. A passion for numbers, by Ada Lovelace. Lying on my back, I count stars and constellations by twos. count numbers like words, add beat to measure. I'll play any game to learn from Charles Babbage, inventor. I translate his numbers, interpret his language. He christens the first computing machine Ada, and I have come to understand the language of two. Peonies on Memorial Day. Peonies used to grow in our front yard, bush after bush of glorious pink in the front of our yellow and green house. The first spring flowers filled with black beetles hidden behind the tight petals. Today on Memorial Day, I put peonies in a vase on my glass living room table. The buds are all ready to open. Across the street on a nearby roof, neighbors are celebrating. I am thinking about Arlington National Cemetery and 4 family members buried there. In my mind, I hear taps being blown on a bugle. A soldier at the top of the hill as the sun sets. Remember shaking with grief as the soldier handed a flag to my nephew and said, "Let it stand as a testament of how grateful this country is for the heroic service of your loved one." The pink peonies, the yellow and green house, the love of family, and yet it has come to this on this cold Memorial Day, not knowing what is to become of us. Kathleen Scott molds a statue of her husband. The epigraph is, "Diary entry by Kathleen Scott on February 18th, 1912. I was very taken with you this evening. I wonder if anything special is happening to you. Something odd happened to the clocks and watches between 9 and 10. I started a sculpture of you, clay hard and dark, thick as ice. I pounded and molded, pinched until your face began to appear, gray as a snowy sky. I felt a devastating cold the night our clock stopped. I worked to give you strong thighs to keep you on your feet, doubled your clothing, closed your hand around a compass, cast you in bronze. Your statue stands for you who did not make it home." And the China teacups. "Are those cups for sale?" my husband asks, gripping the delicate black cup in his plump, long fingers. I laugh as he holds the cup to the light, examines the detail, runs his fingers around the cold gold shamrock rim. He collects China cups, imprinted with yellow and red roses, English lanes and gardens, chintz designs, handles too small for a man to hold, yet he does. I would expect him to collect sports memorabilia or beer mugs from pubs, but he lines the china cabinet with these small works of art, attending and admiring them like the children he never had. And the last poem by the Sea of Iris is, Iris is in Barrow Peninsula, an island. Beyond the seawall, all that remains of the fishermen, lost at sea, are the remnants of their nets, blue, green, and red, and one orange plastic glove. That morning, as the sky started to darken and the wind smacked against my windows, I searched for Jim's boat entering the bay. When the clouds finally began to clear away, I cried with the others by the water's edge and pressed purple crystal rosaries between my fingers and thumb until they broke and fell one by one into the rocky crags. Thank you.
I'm going to ask, right now is where we would place the Boston Poet Laureate, which would be Danielle Ambrose George. But, of course, she's here in spirit, not here in body. So I'm going to ask, for 1 minute, I want everyone right now to think about words which have sustained you. Think about poems or anything that someone has said that has led you into a better space, challenged you to be a better person, and has held you in its arms. And let's revel in that for 1 minute and honor the person that did that for so many people. 1 minute, just 1 minute. Thank you. Thank you for giving that gift to yourself. I have a friend named Johnny Lee Davenport who was an actor. Whenever he left a place, he would say, hold a good thought. Hold a good thought. So whatever those words were that came to you, that visited you, that helped you, hold that good thought for, especially for those times ahead, which we're going to need that good thought to hold. Next up, we have Poet Laureate, the Youth Poet Laureate of Brockton. Please welcome Hannah Baptiste.
Hi, everyone. When deciding what poem to read today, I decided to go with this poem I wrote my senior year of high school. It's kind of about the current state of the world, so it's sad that this still applies 3 years later. But the poem is titled Harvest Over Humanity. In this class, we are tired of finding new ways to teach the same lesson, managing to carve new units from the stone monuments, littering the land like gravestones. In this year's lesson plan, we learned that America's classrooms extend beyond its brick and mortar walls. We see that the Liberty Tree is dying and will turn into compost beneath our eyes. First quarter, we learned that fractions don't just exist in math class. We learn about how fractions pollute the earth, harvest over humanity, power over peace, genocide over goodwill, with their toxic fumes giving everyone blurred vision to hide how we have money for wars, but not for our streets that need to be restored. Second quarter, we learn about harvest over humanity as the mills plow through the lands that don't belong to us, operated by those stolen from their land, as we feel our dreams crackle like a wildfire, backs breaking like straw, and minds wilting at the sight of more than our bodies hanging from trees. We see the ashes of our hard work crumble from the leaves. While studying for the midterm exam, we feel our skin walk on hot coals as we stare at the rich white men on dollar bills, knowing they accomplished their dreams of keeping humans as monetary values. The 3/5 compromise may have been outlawed, but its numerical value still bleeds onto the stripes of the American flag. Third quarter, the longest term of the year, when we sit at our rotting desks, made from deceased trees, actively participating in the lesson because our teachers want us to fully embody the lesson. We are Venus flytraps, standing still, rooted to the ground or the pot we were forced into, just waiting for blessings to pass by. We tell the low-income people in the back of the class that the American dream turns into night terrors for those who dare to try. Fourth quarter, we learned that promises are zip ties meant to temporarily restrain us, long enough to lose a pulse for the issues that matter to us, as student loan repayments are delayed but never canceled. As we summarize the year in preparation for our final exam, this phrase wraps around our necks like a noose. Money will always be valued over human life. One day, I hope that the history books will be rewritten, but for now, this phrase chimes when the clocks reach a new hour. After learning that fractions don't just exist in math class, I know the Dead Sea isn't the lowest place in this world. It is the soles of the shoes of the people who let us twist our own necks for the benefit of a country that drowns us in their desires.
If you would, next, is Poet Laureate of Brookline. Please welcome Jennifer Barber.
Thank you. I'll read 3 poems. The first one is called Why Trees Don't Travel. Why take a plane when you can pump moisture up from the earth, your trunk a highway to the leaves? Or long for Kyoto in the spring when you are busy with your own flowers in the fabric of the sky? And you, great oak at the end of the street, breathing through millions of pores to paint with your pollen, bruise with your shade. How did you heal when lightning tore through your bark, carving a wound? Why didn't you come crashing to the ground? And this poem is called To the Psalms. You seed yourselves like grasses in a field, but also between the ochre stones of an ancient street. You bring on darkness and sunrise. You circle mountains and trees, the storks that nest in the junipers. You speak of fear, but also joy, humiliation and praise, the earthen world and the sea, the countless creatures under the waves. Your next line, there go the ships, fills me with departure. Today, the last of August, I set you aside. You sing ruins and vineyards, sure of my return. And the last poem I'll read, I wrote when I was in eastern Quebec for a week last summer. And I was just full of a feeling of dread about the upcoming election. And this was just before the Trump-Biden debate. It helped me a little bit to be away, but the dread was still there. And gannets that are in the poem, those are a bird that's similar to a seagull. Instead of sweeping, I'm looking out the window as the river flows toward and into the rippling bay, the rhyme of light rain and late afternoon. I can't stop myself from saying to myself, the news is bad. Don't listen, don't watch. Study the gannets. They don't know the name of this region where they rise and glide to dive at the river's mouth. The swallows open their jackknife wings over a beach littered with slate. There's a downed tree there, bleached of bark, as white as a bone. Don't think what we have become. Pick up a black stone inlaid with a stripe of quartz. Let the smoothness, the weight warm your palm. Thank you.
Please give it up for the Poet Laureate of Cambridge, or the poet, was it the Cambridge? You guys always do everything different.
Exactly.
The Cambridge Poet Populace of Cambridge, Jean-Denis Martin.
Thank you. I so much dislike that state of sadness that's been with me for a while now in the account of Haiti, the country where I was born. And I'm more sad for the fact that the country has lost
the voice of Daniel for its cause. Today, I'm standing here as a broken man. Gen haïtien nan la, combien haïtien là? Ouais, nous c'est là. Ok, I'll read the poem en créole pour haïtien là yo, qui parlait de ça. And then I'll read a quick one in English for you folks to put it in context. My only subject now is Haiti. I can't write anything. That is not the country. And I wrote this yesterday. Is it negligence or complicity? Disaster in Haiti, the SOS is sent, but help does not come. This small piece of land occupied by my little country suffers bitterly on the planet. They cut down its trees, toxic waste is thrown on its shores. This disaster is contagious. Other parts of the planet are already in danger. Why does no one say anything? Where should we file a complaint? Which court will grant us justice? Ok, ça c'est pour Haïtien Clayo. For the sake of the Creole, let's do it. I'll tell you briefly what is this in English. You imagine this is a stage, the stage. A mother ran to the stage and screamed. She's about to grab over the dead body of the son left on the street, killed by Fenty. And this mother in agony grab what is hers and then will speak to the fact that it happened. Will tell them, I'm gonna make a decision here. Okay. Après un moment, tu fin ramasser cadavre petit li sous grand riz. Après un moment, tu fin ramasser cadavre petit li sous grand riz. Si l'on m'a tout bon vrai, c'est un voyage. Si derrière de la vie, il y a notre route, habitation, côté rêve avec l'amour continuer, on ne va pas prendre longtemps pour nous contrer. Quel que soit le chemin, il te met paquet, passe l'eau, montagne, falaise, cause nos tempête vague la mer. Dans une route qui vous fait faire bac. Ma fin joint nous pour prendre des bras, mettez tout sous épaule moins, pour te nom nous cap fait frappe et répondre dans un roulement de délivrance. Mais avant ça, il y a une autre route que je vais faire. C'est pour marcher contre les racines malébandées ça, qui rachent en vent dans ma triste la vie, pour porter chaille tous les ça dans les entrailles. Je vais le prendre pour l'une, c'est pour les saints camper avec nous, pour faire connaître nous pas chien sans mettre. La dièse ça doit kaba l'île. Ma konn ça me paye étranger ça yo cap simaye l'amour, cap simen division doit disparaître subitation. Ma filé pour l'île moins pour sécler mauvais plan yo lâcher jeter. Prenez un petit patience. Maintenant en route. The mother what she did, thank you. The mother picked up the body of the child, the son, and then mourned over it and told them, you know what? This must stop. I'm gonna grab my machete. I'm gonna face this situation. This must stop.
Please welcome Poet Laureate Harold, Dan Spears.
Thank you. As you all know, April is the hometown of John Greenlee Whittier. And many, many years ago, he wrote a poem that did become the bane of many school children over the years because many had to memorize it. The April Library is a statue of a little boy barefoot on it. And I imagine that the little boy in that poem has grown up. And he had sons, and sons had sons, and sons had sons. And one day, he's presented with his great-grandson. And he looks at this little baby boy in his arms, and he sees the bare feet sticking up beneath the blanket. And it reminds him of his own youth when he was a barefoot boy. And this is called The Barefoot Baby. Greetings to you, little man, newly born, cheeks not yet tan. With your turned up nose, bright eyes, every moment a new surprise. Never lose that is my advice. Curiosity and wonder suffice to shower sunlight on your face. And fill to brim your jaunty grace. You, great-grandson, you give me joy. For once I, too, was a barefoot boy. No prince of I, the grown man, I'm wizened and wrinkled and an elder span. Yesterday I ride as others do for ease and speed and something new. Now 8 decades come and gone since barefoot I roamed along, seeing worlds others cannot see, the fields, the stream, the old oak tree. Outward sunshine, inward joy. It's still true, barefoot baby boy. Long ago, when I was a lad in summer rustic, mostly clad, I had no need for pedant's rules when I trust in nature's schools. But my trust in nature's schools, why, through whispering forests I did win every creature a forever friend. Beneath the canopy, sunlit dappled, sunlit patterns of leaves and twigs crackled, watching bees in search of nectar, out-touched from each collector. Sometimes a breeze, restless twitching, sometimes still, quietly bewitching. As it lit me for tranquility from crows that lack civility. And the visibility of mockingbirds who chatter and make sounds like words, while meadows and fields spread wildflowers and verdant breads. Green and golden grass arise, applauding the dance of butterflies. And far away the horizon beckons, majestic peaks brushing heavens. Creeks beginning, streams gurgling, eddies turning, tadpoles burbling, while trout chase dragonflies, devouring the nymphs as they rise, and stealing the lunch of a frog. I once tasted the taste of fog. The fogs that embraced ancient tree moss, quietly surrounded spruce with moss, and cloaking my furs and ambience. But it was a boyhood by chance, though I strove to be forever young. It was over almost before begun. Long gone the days that time did seize, when my boy's heart was diseased. The cuts and scrapes and bruises blue. The sassafras bark I loved to chew, the berries I picked between the thorns. The sweetness in those honeysuckle horns, the crisp juice of apples freshly picked, like marshmallows all gooey on a stick. Summer cooling with autumn's ardor, pale yellow leaves fleeing the safe harbor, like lemmings swarming, tumbling, and gaggles of wild turkeys grumbling. The sunlit days, the starry nights, the simple joy and simple sights. The smell of wood smoke at dawn, biscuits and gravy, stockwood and yon, pumpkins and haystacks and Halloween, the corn maze and those my sisters help scream. Many years now passed, my life has spun, so many battles, some lost, some won. My sons now have sons of their own, seeds and cycles of life fully grown. Still somehow the boy in me remains, dirt-streaked heart and feet with greasy stains. Seasons turning, the years blown past, never knowing which is the last. For you, my dear baby boy, in this lore, savor each moment nature has in store. The world will grow and foster change. Both past and future may seem strange. But for boys, both then and now, who dream, when hope takes flight and faces beam, so much to live, so much to see. My gift to you is memories. And day by day, as you grow tall, no barefoot days still live in us all. You too can know the joy ere it passes, barefoot baby boy.
Next up, please welcome Poet Laureate Walden, C.D. Collins.
Well, first, I put coconut oil on my face this morning, and then on the way down here, I ate a big chicken leg with the thigh, and so I've got grease all over my glasses. So I got it. We'll see how I do. Storm King. Let's go back to 1918, near the end of World War I. The Spanish flu is uncontrolled, especially in the army camps like Camp Devens, Massachusetts. But the psychologists were excited because they developed a literacy test, and they used it to sort soldiers into occupations. Who's going to be an officer? Who's going to be on the front line? There's a Kentucky boy up there. He's got his own set of answers. My name is Earl Stacy, and I'm sitting in my skivvies up here in Camp Devens, Massachusetts, and taking your test. All around me, soldiers have took to dying. Doctors and nurses, too. Flu coming on, something pitiful. I was reared in a cabin in Storm King, Kentucky, along with too many animals and a mama whose sorrow drags the floor. We fling open our doors as soon as the Dutchman's bridges bloom, and we don't shut them until frost drops the asters. We go out for soda pop on Saturday morning and barbecue on an oil drum come Saturday night. We eat whenever we can catch, shoot, or falls down out of a tree. When President Wilson joined this war, honey, I was fired up. But they turned me away for flat-footedness, so I went back under to the mines. The war wasn't over by Christmas like they promised, so they ain't so particular about issuing a flat-footed fellow his trench boots now. Epidemics bad everywhere. When I left home, there wasn't a mine a-running, nor a lump of coal in the wagons. And so, to your questions, do dogs bark? Yes, they are junkyard dogs, and they bark and bite because they need to put the hurt back into somebody. They are loyal to those who kick them. Don't expect logic from a junkyard dog. Is coal white? Yes, coal is white. White mine owners eat up with greed, send children, landless whites and blacks, far underground. We all suck in coal dust and look the same by noon. They tell us there's minerals in what we breathe, but let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a man with black lung, straining to talk, fighting to breathe, or trying to walk? He can no longer scream. And that's the idea. Yes, coal is extremely white. Does a baby cry? No, a baby does not cry. It has dawned on the baby that no one is coming. Can a hat speak? A hat will tell you all kinds of stories. A fedora talks money, a straw hat held in the hands is begging to borrow some. A hat can outlast you and keep on with its story once you're gone. Is stone soft? Ask Jacob, asleep on his stone pillow. Get used to it. It is where you will lie. Is one more than seven? Yes. I have done the work of seven, my mother long widowed. Yet in Mama's eyes, my sister was the only child. Only one, but she counted far more. When the flu broke out violently in Storm King, my sister was took down. There was a casket box on nearly every porch in the mine camp, and hers among them. Do land and sea look just alike? Yes. Both are engorged with dead men. What the politicians call wastage. Are some books black? Well, the Bible is black, whether leather-bound or covered in soot. The pages bear fingerprints of those whose hands never wash clean. Does water run up a hill? Things are happening in the mountains that defy gravity. A river is liable to run up the hill to escape the spoil, but it can't flow fast enough. Do 100 cents make $1? Pulling a ton of coal out of the seam, they claim, earns $1. But it's only a handful of scrip to trade for lettuces in the company store. Do stones float in the air? Yes. They fly up from the charge. I'm the one who packs the hole and lights the fuse. When it blows, I go deaf, and I watch them rise. Are diamonds mined in the mid-ocean? Well, I'll tell you this. You will never find a diamond in a coal mine, no matter how bright your oil lamp burns. I know that I have failed this test, and I know how they will sort me. They'll throw me on the front line like a sandbag, on up front to the slaughter line. Out the window of the mess hall is just coming up a shower of rain, and I know exactly what will happen. They'll score me illiterate and take me anyway. I won't need much training. I'm handy with a bayonet and can pick a quail out of a tree from 100 yards. And I can see through all this clearly, straight through to the other side. They think they know me, but they do not. Because the job they'll give me is the job I seek. I'll be a buck private, loyal to Uncle Sam. The brass will dine on steaks and ham. The infantry, a slum of beans, and I'll follow orders. In the end, they will blame me for the blood on my hands. It's too late for logic. A junkyard dog will fight. It is all he knows.
Wow.
I wrote a poem, a love poem. I don't know what came over me, but I wrote a love poem. And I asked women 7 women, to translate the poem into their mother tongue, their heart language. And Danielle translated this poem for me. And Janie is going to read the, yes. So I'll read it in English first. City of Dreams. I wait in the gloaming of the fairies' lantern. Steal in beside me. Cup my body with your body of light. For you, I open the passage to my city of dreams. What is the spark that lights this place? It is the filament that burns through the cage of night, illuminates the path where you discover me, where I discover you.
Si tes rêves, m'attends nous dans clarté ti lampe magique là. Rentrez nous avec, flottez comme à lumière corps. Ou même, on fait route pour entrer dans le jardin ville rêve moi. Qui étincelle qu'a éclairé côté ça? Ces mèches, ces lampes diffées, qu'a coulé prison en nuit là, qu'a éliminé chimère. Côté rivé, joigne-moi. Côté moi rivé, joigne-nous.
Please welcome Poet Laureate of Medford, Vijaya Sundaram.
I'm going to try and stick to 5 minutes, and therefore I'm using the magic of technology to set it to 5. If it emits a horrible, harsh shriek, please forgive me. I will stop as soon as I can after that shriek. So I did not have the honor of knowing Danielle. I'm really sorry that I didn't get to know her, and I'm sorry for your loss. But having heard a few poems about Haiti, I thought I was reminded of the fact that I was asked to write a poem for Flag Day in Medford about Haiti, the Haitian Flag Day. Now, being who I am, I don't want to just go off and write any old thing, so I did a lot of research and I looked up stuff, because I know some things about Haiti, but not enough. And I learned some things, so I wrote this poem in honor of Haiti's flag. This is called Drapeau Haiti, and it was written after I was asked to write about it. But I felt it. O Haiti, beloved land of Taino and African, land of hills so green and tall, of you I sing a song for all. O Haiti, O Haiti, O land of pain and sorrow, and joy and power and rage and blood, and hopes for new tomorrows. I salute and celebrate your flag that emerged in triumph after war, the upward march to claim your fate, sing, L'union fait la force. I see you and salute you for the land you wish to be, embrace you and I honor you and pray for harmony. O Haiti, O Haiti, O land of mountains tall, land of struggle, land of beauty, I sing your rise and fall. I see you and salute you, and I sing the song of you, of those who fought to take back that which belongs to you. In fateful 1791, O Haiti, you raised your head, and in the year 1804, you claimed your land and led. I see you, I salute you, and I sing about your own of Toussaint, the all-saintly, who led the way alone. I see you and I sing about the man who led the way, l'ouverture, the opening, brought in the light of day. And Toussaint was betrayed by one who did not keep his word. He died in France and never saw the dream which had occurred. Your own flag flew, the white torn out, the red remained with blue, with a palm above the mountain in the year your story grew. You hold your head up, buoyed by the hopes of one another, to live, to work, to eat, to dream a land where none are other. O Haiti, O Haiti, O land of pain and sorrow, and joy and power and pride and blood and hopes for new tomorrows. O may you fly both high and free above the land that you adore, leave hurt behind and work for peace, united evermore. O Haiti, O Haiti, O land of pain and sorrow, and joy and power and pride and blood and hopes for new tomorrows. On this your day, to you I say, may you not be denied your sovereignty, your right to be. May peace be at your side. I have never been, and I feel it. Okay. So this is called Mourning. Actually, no, let's get something sad. I'm changing my mind, sorry. Let me just read you this. My body is a personal one. The body is a curious thing to possess. I'm conscious of mine as a friend, with her own blind needs, her own mute sorrows, her loud joys, her love of some fragrances and loathing of certain smells, her ears that welcome all music, her eyes that see beyond all facades but forget to see the facade itself. She is the entity who shares my other consciousness. When she is out of sorts, but I'm sanguine, we confuse each other. And sometimes it's the other way around. Mostly, we keep peace between us. She keeps track of time, so that even when I'm not near a clock, she lets me know. When I'm hurt, she forces me down to shut down my other self and attend to her. This is as it should be. She has given me space to live within her, and I love her and thank her for giving me room. She is a map of all my journeys and the road on which the journeys took place. And her imperfections, so many, fill me with quiet affection. She has shed her skin so many times and donned new ones, and her hands all veined have held this earth and other hands with love and trust, ready to give, even when she is lost. Yes, she has failed me sometimes, but then I fail her even more. Mostly we are at peace. I shall miss her when she dies. I do not think she'll remember to miss me at the time of her passing. Oh, this is sad. I guess everything is sad these days. It's called Wound. No one tells you this. When people die or are killed, all the displaced air where they stood and breathed in and out, all that air that swirls in vortices, that settles, is a low hum of loss and longing. There's a wound, a rent, a tear, a rip in space and time, in the space and time that they occupy on this earth. We patch over them, though. They are here, so present. We cannot forget them. So wistful, so full of longing. So vivid in memory in our senses, they laugh or shout or whisper words which we hear still. Their changing face caught in our minds, perhaps captured on digital devices or older tape recordings, on photographs, on paper, on artwork. Everything we experienced of them lingers in the folds of our memory. They linger, full of yearning. The air is wounded and tries to repair itself over and over, busily trying to fill in gaps, these interstitial spaces so full of yearning. things are never the same. They will never be the same again. Still, we pour and pour something into, sorry. Still, we pour and pour something into those spaces which we will never refill. Spaces so full of longing. Thank you.
And thank you for giving me the idea that I would like to maybe keep time. Some folks have been under time, some have been a bit over time. So what's going to happen is, I'm going to start the 5-minute clock, right when you start speaking. And I will give you a courtesy 1-minute reminder. You can ignore me if you wish. But everyone will know that is what you're doing. So, would you please welcome the next Poet Laureate. The Poet Laureate was from Plymouth, Miriam O'Neill. Also, when you do that, that helps the poet ambulate expeditiously.
I've been thinking a lot about the fact that we're here, and this is our act of resistance. And I have this little line that I wrote, it's, poetry is solace, and allowing yourself solace is a form of resistance. So I have 3 poems to read for you. So I'm going to start with a dark poem and go to the light. How's that? I imagine my father tries his hand at memoir again. I imagine my father tries his hand at memoir again. I'm imagining my father sitting down to write his memoir, how he would face the blank page, the crowd of sounds and images competing to be the first note of what swirls inside him. The creak of the horse-drawn wagon on Hyde Park Avenue, from which corner after corner he threw bundles of papers to the Sunday newsboys, or the roar of the paper mill on second shift still in his head while he slept, or the tap-tap-tap of bullets ripping the water around him as he waded toward the beach at Tarawa, browning high over his head, his partner Jake ankle deep ahead, crate of rounds shouldered, when the unhearable shot slams into Jake's chest, and my father must rescue the ammunition. The shallow breath of his wife in her first labor, the little box he holds in his lap 2 years later, the jokes he tells in tough times, all swallowed by the small, neat hole dug for his daughter, filled with noon light beside her grandfather's grave. His screams filling the frowsy cups of mauve tea roses on the wallpaper in their bedroom. That final go-round with malaria. Kids sent out to play while his wife calls his name, trying to convince him, this is not Peleliu or Guadalcanal. You're not in the hospital in Brisbane. The crack of a stick on the jungle floor that flies out of the pot as my mother snaps dry pasta into boiling water. His father's roar as he attempts the steps to the second floor and tumbles backwards calling, Maud, Maud, get down here and help me, damn you. The whack of the stickball bat across the fence, or the belt against his legs, another night, another rage. Frankie's sass at supper, the sound of his chair shoved back so fast it flips on the brick-patterned linoleum. And Frankie is hanging by his ankles from our father's hands, the silence spreading inside us as our father bellows, you will not talk back. Frankie flying up and down like a pump's handle, our mother calling, Lester, Lester, but not touching him, not grabbing her son from his father's grasp. I imagine the black paper, the blank paper, an enemy, the way his hold on the now might fly apart, if just once the words were brought to ink. And light on you now. This is based on a true story. My mother breaks her arm sliding down the stairs on the mattress. And we imagine she goes to the doctor in the emergency room. How did you break your arm, Mrs. English? Sliding down the stairs. Did someone push you? All my daughters. Was there an argument? Yes, about who'd go first. Why did they push you, Mrs. English? I told them they could. Why would you let them push you down the stairs? I got to fly. I got to scream like a girl at Godzilla.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, please welcome the Poet Laureate of Rockford, Robert Whalen.
Thank you. A pause is like the virtues as you're coming up. First, it's faith. And then as you're reading, it's hope. And then at the end. So, I have 3 poems for you. This first one is about events today that are happening all over the place. All over the place meaning all over the planet. It's called Cold Mountain Refugees. You cannot walk over them as if they are a filthy mat to roll up and shake away their will like dried mud. They have freely chosen to bask in a field of sunflowers under the blue of a boundless sky. They've decided to ignore your contorted red tongues, pleading twisted supplications, attempting to convince them that straight ruled lines are more beautiful than winding pathways through woodlands or the random markings in marble. You insist that shards are jewels and charred iron is gold. Your help is no good for anything except to leave craters in the earth, plumes of putrid smoke, and holes in crumbling walls where only weeds can grow. Darkness without sleep, flakes whirling in squalls of ash, a blanket of bombs. That's the hope. This is about relationships, fast ones and slow ones and so forth. It's called Glacial Pace. The softest lands evolve at glacial pace. Rough mountains are ground slowly into hills, but tender valleys flow with light and grace. Ravines and canyons flaunt their open space, wild rivers carve, refusing to stand still. The softest lands evolve at glacial pace. Whitewater rapids rise and bake the chase. White summits echo challenges and thrills, but tender valleys flow with light and grace. Storms rage and etch the rock face into lace. Velocity is a tool of nature's skill. The softest lands evolve at nature's pace. Seas surge, obliterate, and leave no trace. Whole continents submerge beneath their will. But tender valleys flow through light and grace. Both fast and slow emerge and interface. Sometimes creation's speed is what fulfills. But tender valleys flow with light and grace. The softest lands evolve at glacial pace. About my daughter, as she wraps my wound. The white globe covered with dry, crinkled skin can beckon tears as I dice it for dinner. It rotates in my grasp, the blade slips. Instead, I am the one who is cut. Red weeps from my fingertip. My youngest daughter, the last child still living with me, hearing my curse, responds with a Band-Aid. She is 1/5 my age, yet insists on caring for me, proclaiming to know better than I about tending small things. I am so much further along on this path we both now share that I worry I will meet the destination too soon, afraid she will not be prepared enough to complete the journey alone. As she wraps my wound, I feel better.
Next up, please welcome the Poet Laureate of Salem, J.D. Scringer.
Hi, everyone. I only knew Danielle by meeting her a few times at poetry events in Salem and Boston, but I felt even in that film I could see the light that she brought to every interaction. I'm going to read one poem. This poem is titled Somewhere Outside Peking, and the speaker of the poem is a recently deceased infant. And that title, Peking, is because the poem is set in the 1890s outside what was then Peking. I was in bad shape. I could hardly cry. I was probably a girl. I was probably missing a limb or a lung. To be honest, lying in that alley, I was fine, calling it quits. But the missionaries who kept track of village pregnancies found me. They brought me to the monastery and rushed through my baptism before my final breath. The water was a new sensation. It made me want to live. But then I died. I was dead. And buried in the small Christian graveyard. You know, when you think a story's over, and though it wasn't good, at least it's over. When the villagers dug me up and beat 2 of the priests to death, I wasn't grateful for their companionship. They just buried me again in their graveyard. Their silence, as they flung dirt on me, felt like it meant something. The priest had nothing to say to me, even though we had death in common. And though I hadn't been around long, I could see things were just going to get uglier. I would have been happy with 2 arms and a heart that worked, a chance at life. Despite it all, though, there was this. When the church windows' colored light touched my eyes before I succumbed, it wasn't like a God exactly, but it gave me a moment of wonder, which I guess could be called happiness.
Next up, please welcome the Poet Laureate of Somerville, Lloyd Schwartz.
A true poem. I'm working on a poem that's so true, I can't show it to anyone. I could never show it to anyone, because it says exactly what I think. And what I think scares me. Sometimes it pleases me. Usually it brings misery. And this poem says exactly what I think. What I think of myself, what I think of my friends, what I think about my lover. Exactly. Parts of it might please them. Some of it might scare them. Some of it might bring misery. And I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt anybody. I want everyone to love me. Still, I keep working on it. Why? Why do I keep working on it? Nobody will ever see it. Nobody will ever see it. I keep working on it even though I can never show it to anybody. I keep working on it even though someone might get hurt. I wanted to read something about a library, and I didn't have anything until very recently. Rubble for Mossab Abu Toha. So many books, so many I'd never even opened. Clearing out my office and the books that had been cramming the shelves for how many years, how many decades? Who would want them? Even libraries were throwing away their books. Then a colleague, a friend, told me about a young poet, a scholar at risk, who was planning to open a library in Gaza City, an English language library in Gaza. A week later, the young scholar arrived at my office with empty cartons, many empty cartons. A friend of his was waiting in the parking lot, and we started going through my books. Volumes of fiction and poetry covered with dust, shelves upon dusty shelves, novels and poems, multi-volume anthologies of English and American literature, and writing handbooks. Who could possibly want those? But how better, the young scholar asked, for people in Gaza to learn the English language? He kept stuffing the empty cartons until all of them were full. Later, I saw photos. The sparkling library, the new home for my old books, many of them still unopened, still unread. Then the war. The young poet, our scholar at risk, seized from his family, brutally beaten, his visa confiscated along with his wallet and everything in it, and Gaza bombed, civilians bombed, Gaza City turning to rubble, the English language library with so many books still unopened, still to be read, rubble. I had to read a poem by Danielle. One of my favorite of her poems. Poem for the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. O poorest country, this is not your name. You should be called beacon. You should be called flame, almond and bougainvillea, garden and green mountain, villa and hut, girl with red ribbons in her hair, books under her arm, charmed by the light of morning, charcoal seller in black skirt encircled by dead trees. You, country, are merchant woman and eager clerk, grandfather at the gate, at the crossroads, with the flashlight, with all in sight.
Thank you, Lord. As you had that minute till you said Danielle. And I let it slide. Just telling you. Next up, please welcome Poet Laureate of Westwood, Lynn Beatty.
Can you hear me? Barely. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. I worked with Danielle in one of her workshops, and she certainly taught me a lot. A very strict teacher, but very good. I have two poems, and both of them are set in Baltimore, which is my hometown, even though I've lived in this area for 50 years, so just bear that in mind. When we met on the steps of Levering Hall in winter, he told me his favorite song was Greensleeves, his cigarette Marlboro, and the writer he adored most, James Joyce, and did I want to come and see him in Le Balcon next weekend because he had the role of chief of police. And after that, we could go to the cast party downtown at Fred and Charlie's flat. But I was only 17, still in high school. My parents would never have gone for it. And so I declined, but not before I accepted a cigarette and a light, saying, maybe next summer when I turn 18. Flaneur. Did he wear a hat? I recall a brown fedora, brim snapped down like a 1940s actor in a black and white movie. And a starched white shirt, pressed pants, or in cool weather, a sport coat. His graying hair was thick, lustrous. His face and hands always tan, as if he'd just rolled in from Florida. He walked up our street, always with unlit cigar in his mouth. "Hi, Bobby's grandfather," we called out. A man of few words, he nodded kindly as he passed our pickup games in the street. He hibernated in winter, emerged from Bobby's house in spring, walked in end of summer days when the morning air was close and summer hung on till October. Exactly where he walked and when, we never knew. He might have left the house just after breakfast to walk or stroll the mile to the number 19 trolley line. Maybe his wandering took him across town to Lombard Street, place of best corned beef on rye. Maybe he walked for the sake of walking, to be out of the house, its small rooms, galley kitchen. Maybe he was drawn outside, leaving his daughter-in-law to do her cleaning in peace. I often wondered what was on his mind when he walked the parkway, as Chevys and Fords passed, their V8 engines roaring. Maybe he crossed paths with the rag and bone man, piling metal scraps onto his horse-drawn wagon. Or walked to a matinee at the Northway or the Arcade. Or in baseball season, took in an Orioles day game. By the time we kids knew him, Bobby's grandfather had walked far from the 19th century of his birth into a time between wars, into mid-century, to our street, where he walked and overnight, it seemed, became invisible to us. Until now, his image emerges from my memory, his steady gait as he slowly climbs the steep hill in his last decade, in those last quiet Eisenhower days, perfecting the art of walking.
Okay, we are going to bring up another Poet Laureate of Westwood. This is the Youth Poet Laureate of Westwood. Please welcome Elizabeth Lowney.
Hi everyone, my name's Elizabeth. I'm the Poet Laureate of Westwood, and my first poem is entitled Hectic Halls, and it's sort of just about like the day-to-day life in Westwood. Just to preface, I'm 17, I'm a junior in high school. This is just about walking around the halls of my school. Walking through crowded halls, hundreds of paths cross throughout the day, footsteps of those before imprinted on the linoleum floor. Faces flash past as we focus on our next destination. Each little walking conversation contributes to the wall of sound echoing through the school. Teachers weave through students rushing to their next tasks. Hectic halls guide students from class to class, showing us where to go on the path that guides us to our future. My next poem is entitled The Necklace. Gold and silver strings, twisted together, sparkle in the warm sun. The necklace that my mother gifted me for my 10th birthday. The necklace with a golden clasp, a charm of little girl with a black dress and blonde hair. I see myself reflected in her. The necklace with a topaz gem, the necklace that reminds me of my mom. And that one time I got snagged with all my other jewelry, I watched my Nana patiently untangle it. My next poem is called Wild Child, and it's just sort of about my life. Wild Child. I am wild, like the blue heron flying against the blue sky, sliced in half by a strip of clouds. From sidewalk chalk stains on perfectly pink clothes, hands forever smelling of pine and dirt. Cool summer nights when the bright white stars scatter. Dog days filled with melting ice cream and sandy feet. Ocean waves crashing upon brown rocks, leaving dark shades of obsidian in their wake. A coyote's paws crunching upon orange maple leaves, stalking its prey, ready for a chance to pounce. I grew up in a world divided by masks and protocols, white KN95 masks and blue latex gloves, cafeterias reeking of rubbing alcohol. The smell of it now takes me back to the unrelenting virus. Frostbitten limbs and thick sheets of ice, snow-covered trails and icy winds. Bright green buds breaking through the snow. Robins chirping among the sounds of ice thawing. Pink flowers blossoming as sheets of rain pour down. Wild violet flower rooted in dirt, pushing through the leaves, rain, transition. And my final poem today is entitled Snowfall, and I most recently wrote this, and this is sort of about winter, but as we transition into spring, I thought that it would be fun to look back onto winter and just the transitions of life. Snowfall. Air sharp as knives pierces trees. Bright white stars hide behind moonlit clouds. Dark green grass transitions into crunchy frozen blades. Water droplets crystallize, dancing down to meet the ground. Each unique snowflake floats towards the dormant soil, frost the world in white. Bunnies and deer make their marks on fresh snow, their tracks ephemeral, a glimpse into woodland adventures. The sun dawns through clouds, casting rays of pink and orange over sparkling snow. Another frigid New England winter begins with a midnight squall.
And finally, please show some love for Oliver De La Paz.
I conspired with Reggie earlier to have the most applause by being the furthest from the I appreciate the communion and the community of poets that are here. Percy Bysshe Shelley said that poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world, and I am proud to be among you. Thank you so much for sharing your morality and your kindness with everybody. Just as Danielle did, I had the pleasure of working with Danielle in workshops and readings, and she was both tender and ferocious, and she was incredible. Dear Empire, these are your orators. Shined up, they line amphitheaters with their brilliant stupefactions. A sequence of incongruities streams from their tongues, silvered and rich. Sweet devils, their vowels uncurl in lariats of errata. Every ear can be bought, they say, each price to be named as the globe turns on its hinge. Of course, we must pity the gullible boys whose faces alight like the roundest fluorescence to their silken call. These spectators become your hardiest innervations. From their mislaid memories comes your grasp, come your rhetorical hammers. My poem of protest, but this is my poem of praise, and this is my last poem. My son is on the autism spectrum, and this is a poem about taking my son to Hanover Theater to hear Boston Pops. It's called Brass, on seeing the Boston Pops with my son at Hanover Theater. In the mezzanines, he tilts his head, angling his right ear so that each eighth note shimmers like polished apples. Each eighth swears its solemn pledge, rebounding off the curves of the proscenium, alight with the polished trumpets. The notes land in surges on his collarbone, and he brings his arms up, crosses them over his heart, his hands lightly touching the divot just below his throat, where the music comes up from his chest. And I can hear him humming, just barely, a trickle, patterned smooth as river stones, curving its parabolic path across my son's enraptured face. The way I know the arc of the sun will cross the firmament again. Notes rising from the mouth of brass in a sense like the slow rays of heat, that, for the first time in months after winter, finally warm my skin in the late evening, and I close my eyes as if in prayer, because how can I stand to watch him? The way the song he hums throttles me into feeling impossible love. How can I stand it? This glory, this beauty, this singing.
I am going to begin some of the questions now and just see where that takes me. First question. And I want to thank everybody for making this legible. I do appreciate that. And here's the question. How do you engage with the identity of the town, city, or state that you represent?
So I've been in Medford for like about 24 years, which gives you an idea that I'm not any, spring lamb. And it's the longest I've ever been in any place. We moved to Medford in 2001, and we gutted the house and built it from the inside while we lived in it, and it covered in dust and horrible stuff. And that's home now. This is my home. So when I became Poet Laureate of Medford, I was honored. I thought, okay, I've made my home here. I will represent this town. I'm proud of Medford for doing what it's doing. When they call me to do something, I'm happy to do it. And I feel it's my town. All right, that's enough.
I identify with the community that I'm from, Haverhill, because it's the gem in the Merrimack Valley, and we are in the Valley of the Poets, because the Valley of the Poets is the birthplace of American poetry. The very first poet in American history was Anne Bradstreet, the very first published poet. She was a female woman poet, very first. So I identify with it because it's a very poetic place to live, to grow up.
My parents moved to Plymouth when I was 2, and I'm 71. So I identify with Plymouth as a place, as home. I am deeply enmeshed in its physical spaces, its beaches, its woods, its waterways, and in its good history and its bad history. So, yeah, I'm identified.
All righty. Now maybe we'll go to some people who have not yet had the chance to answer. I'm going to ask you this question, and that is, what made you you? Were you eased into it or forced? Or some combination of both?
Did I discover myself? I only know how to be me. I wouldn't know to be anybody else or anything else. Very early I met poets. I discovered their arts. I was grateful that I was invited to have a part of that. I discovered theater, but I never wished or had any desire to be anybody else.
So I had a conversation with my mother, because I was never comfortable being a poet. It came as a gift, I call it the gift. So I asked my mother, I said, where did this come from? Where did this gift come from? Because nobody in our family is really artistic. And she just looked at me and took my hand and said, don't you know? And I was like, no. She goes, your father came from the island of Sifnos, Castro. He had 10 brothers and sisters. And as each one of them left the island, they took the story of the island with them. Because you're a storyteller. Because that's your gift. Because your father's family were all storytellers. And that's how you became a poet.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Edie.
I came from gunfire and alcohol and blazing fire. It put me in the hospital for a year. And I feel like I had to fight for everything and that I'm still fighting. And I represent Malden. They have adopted me as is. But I also feel that I need to represent my home state of Kentucky. It's a very misunderstood place. And I'm trying to understand myself in the context of it. And it's not easy. I don't have an easy answer. So what I'm doing is trying to make meaning. I guess some of us are. I'm trying to make meaning. I'm trying to survive through it. The writing helps me survive.
Another question. How does one become a poet laureate? And how can I become the poet laureate of Quincy?
I think that in order to do it, you have to create the position. And it's different in every town. But for me, the library is the center of it. They support me in terms of rooms and programs and flyers, and they've just been fabulous. And I love the library anyway, but now I love it even more.
This is actually my last year as the Poet Laureate. I'm off cycling, and as of December, I will no longer be the Poet Laureate of Worcester. That said, they're taking applications for the Poet Laureate of Worcester in September. Please apply and encourage people to apply, and basically it is through programming that is developed through the Worcester Cultural Council. They are the ones who run the program. They also run the Youth Poet Laureate program of Worcester, and that position is also open this year. So please spread the word if you're interested and know somebody who's interested. Please encourage them to apply.
Thank you.
Massachusetts is just about to have its very first state poet laureate. We have been the only state that has never had a state poet laureate. Please keep that in mind.
This is going to go, I think, to the two youth poet laureates, which is, in this fast-paced, tech-heavy world, how can we capture the minds of the future and inspire us older people as well, the youth, to engage with poetry?
Okay, so for me personally, I think that becoming engaged in poetry really started for me at the poetry slam at my school, and it was really the first time where I was able to share my poetry with like a larger audience. And so I think that events such as like a poetry slam at a high school or outreach events to, especially for like younger children, to really empower kids to be more involved with poetry and feel they have a safe space to have their voice heard.
For me personally, since I didn't have that outlet, I really just engaged with poetry, ironically through technology, through watching slam poetry videos on YouTube, through like Button Poetry, Right About Now, all of those channels. That really help keep me engaged, because as we know, technology is pretty much running our lives, especially the youth. But as for in person, I do suggest the whole getting involved with whatever creative writing societies they have in schools, or if they don't have one, creating one, because some people might not even know that they have an interest in it until they're introduced to it. You really need to let them know that it's an outlet that's like safe for them and available to them.
I want to congratulate these young boys, but I want to point out something. We also do something else. There's a national poetry contest, and each high school can have a poetry contest, and the winner of the local high school goes to state competition, and from state competition they go to national competition, and the national winners can win up to a $25,000 scholarship in poetry. So if you can encourage your high schools through your English teachers in the high schools to have a poetry club, and just simply go to the website, the National Poetry Contest, and see what the requirements are, and have a contest in your local high school.
The competition is called Poetry Out Loud. Is that the one you're saying? Okay, good. And here's one. How are you coping with the current state of the world? Is it creating more or less poetry?
Poetry makes you feel, so you know what to think. I hear what people are saying about encouraging poetry, but what I think you need is to help people aspire to kindness and develop some sort of sensitivity. Even if we never promoted poetry, it wouldn't disappear. It would arise somewhere. So in today's world, I think it's critical. People complain about this doesn't exist or that, or I can't afford this, or I can't afford that. The one thing that would solve everything is if people just simply increased empathy. And then all of the other things would fall in line.
Right now, if I didn't have access to writing in general, creative writing, I don't know what my life would have been for the sake of America, for the sake of Haiti, for the sake of humanity, maybe Gaza, Israel, all over the world where I turn my eyes. And then to try to raise, to be part of a family, to be the head of a family, to be a decent head of a family, it's just too much. I mean, I don't remember the last poem I wrote that wasn't about pain. I feel that I cheat when I write about love or about the flower, about the piece of bird, about the smile. I catch on the street. The world is heavy, and I'm lucky that I have access to writing. And also to community of folks, like you said, listeners. I'm lucky I have a forum in Cambridge, we stage readings, and I see neighbors, folks, everyone coming forward, not necessarily the ones coming to read, so I am grateful. Without that God, I'll be lost.
So I run a poetry club at the Medford Public Library, the beautiful newly renovated Medford Public Library. And a bunch of women and sometimes men gather and we write. And we met after this horrible series of executive orders that have been destroying our country. And I said, there's hardly anything joyful to write about, isn't there? Is there? And everybody agreed there's nothing to write about that was not misery. And I said, and yet don't you think it's a duty to, while acknowledging the horror and the sadness and the misery of the world, to create little islands and little oases of joy. And it's hard, and I don't feel like it, but let's try it. So I said, we're coming into spring, we're coming out of winter, out of death comes life. I suppose even Shelley said, oh when the winter comes, can spring be far behind. So I think of my children, of my child, and all the young people I teach, and I think, I want to give you whatever joy I possess and pass it on, so that we can create those little islands and those little oases, and perhaps spread it outwards, while acknowledging and not denying the horror and the sadness.
Someone wishes to put together a poetry sort of shelf in their home. And they want to know who's the poet that you admire most, who should go on that shelf.
Just one poet?
Just one.
For me, it's Elizabeth Bishop. I have a lot in common with her, and Lloyd and I have discussed this, and she was a personal friend. But for me, it's Elizabeth Bishop. I'm a Bishop aficionado.
Thank you. For me, it's Linda Gray. And I admire her work because she never tried to control it or make it thematic. It was just, came out of her heart and where she was and addressed where she was. So in one poem you're in Greece, in another poem you're in Marfa, Texas. She trusted her voice. And she's my touchstone for that reason. I always feel like when I'm with Linda, when I'm reading Linda, I hear someone who earned her self-trust. And she's a model for me too, for that reason.
Couple more. This one comes from Emily Dickinson, which is, she could not stop for death. A, why? And B, what is it you can't stop for?
I had the pleasure of touring the Emily Dickinson Museum just a while ago and had heard about how she was actually taking care of her mother who was ill, as well as mourning the death of her nephew. And so, I think that part of what kept Emily going is taking care of this family. I think that is often not discussed, that she was in the care of people in her community. What keeps me going is very, very similar, that I am, the father of 3 sons. I'm also in a community that is underrepresented. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like my responsibility is to continue and to keep going into life.
Thank you.
The thing about Emily Dickinson is that she's such a wonderful inspiration for traditional poetry. And she lived at about the same time as Walt Whitman, who was sort of the father of American free verse. So the combination of Emily Dickinson, who has not died, by the way, and death did not stop her, because her poetry lives on, and lives on in every one of us. And just like Walt Whitman, his free voice lives on in every one of us. And it's the music of the poetry that sings to our souls and sings to our heart. And that's what I like about Emily Dickinson.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else? All right, we're going to go with one that's a mind scrambler by Wallace Stevens. Stevens said, I do not know which to prefer, the beauty of inflections or the beauty of innuendos. Which do you prefer, the beauty of inflections or the beauty of innuendos? Or maybe the ugliness of both. I don't know.
One can be laboring over a poem and you revise it, and you know it's about topic A, and when it's finished, somebody who hears it might say, I really like the way you did such and such, and you were totally unaware of it. Like, it's coming from somewhere, and I don't know, is it the muse? I don't know, it's the Holy Spirit, it's something. So you can focus on the inflections in terms of language, but there's something else going on sometimes, and that's the magic for me.
I was going to say, you can't have one without the other.
And I would just remind us all of the lines that follow right after that in the poem, which are the blackbird whistling, or just after.
Yes.
And I feel like in some ways that helps me understand those lines more. And I love them both, but I think just after, because you still have the whistling and you have your taking it in and reflecting on it too.
Okay? And one final thing, we're just gonna popcorn. Everybody think of one word that encapsulates what the moment means, or the feeling, or what you like to send out there into the world, or what you're wrestling with. Let's just start with Mr. Della Paz.
Possibility.
Inspiring.
Community.
Listen.
Solace.
Intuition.
Refuge.
Love.
Voices.
Philosophy.
Thanks.
And slip 3 in, lament and praise.
Powerful.
Love.
Empathy.
Radical joy.
Thank you for that question. I'm not a poet, I'm not even a writer, so I've done, but the word to me that I see with all of you here, especially with you, Reggie, leading this, is diversity. And thank you all for that.
Thank you. Lisa Masani Phillips, Ellie O'Leary, Jean Flanagan, Hannah Baptiste, Jamie Barber, Jonah McKean, Dan Spears, Stephen Collins, Najee Sundaram, Miriam O'Neill, Robert Williams, James Scringer, Lloyd Schwartz, Lynn Beatty, Elizabeth Lowney, and Oliver Dale. Thank you all for your time, for your creativity, your humanity. Thank you to Philip, thank you to James, thank you to everyone, Paul, for helping to make this happen. Everyone have a good night. Be well. Take care of yourselves and take care of everybody else.